Hey, Julian, you obviously worked for the Canadians for many years and know of their success from years ago and decades ago and helped with Steve Yzerman build this team. I'm wondering if you can kind of compare the success that your team, the Lightning, have had in recent years to kind of what Montreal has done and really what Marc Bergevin has done in recent years to build that team.
Well, I think ultimately the biggest thing we have in common is we both right now are managing teams that are vying for the Stanley Cup. We're both in the finals. And I think Mark would probably say the same thing. A lot of people need to do a lot of work a lot of people need to do a lot of good work in order to build a good organization, a good program that ultimately will lead to having enough good players to form a good team. So that's probably key is, you know, both organizations have really strong ownership, passionate fan bases, good coaching, strong support staff, and ultimately really good players. And that's why we're going to be playing and facing each other in the Stanley Cup Finals this year.
Joe Smith, The Athletic.
Julian, to kind of follow up a little bit on that, just what kind of influence did your time in Montreal have on kind of the GM you are today in terms of the things you try to help build here? And is there anything, I think you mentioned the other day, like there's things that you brought from that organization, little things you guys do that might be similar to what you guys did there?
Yeah, well, when I worked for the Canadiens, I was very fortunate. I was very young, and I, to be completely honest, I wasn't bringing that much to the table. I was learning a lot more than I was contributing at that point. And I was very fortunate that there were so many great alumni around the team. You know, Bob Gainey eventually came a couple years after I joined the team, and obviously he was a huge influence. But, you know, I remember, you know, Guy Carbonneau was around, and Rick Green, and Roland Melançon, and Pierre Mondoux, and a lot of the guys from the 70s were still around. Régent Houle, Mr. Belvaux was still around, and actually when I ended up getting my first office at the Bell Center, his office was right next to mine. He wasn't there necessarily on a regular basis, but every now and then he'd pop in and just to interact with him and all of those great alumni. And they were so generous with me. I asked them a lot of questions, and they were very generous in sharing their experiences, and I got to learn from them. And eventually when I decided to pursue another opportunity and ended up here in Tampa Bay, when Steve and I started putting the program together here, obviously he was coming in from a great organization, the Detroit Red Wings, and they had a lot of success. And so he was bringing those lessons to our management group, and I was bringing experiences and lessons that I had learned in another great organization, the Montreal Canadiens. And we kind of put all of those experiences together in trying to build the team that we have here and the organization that we have here.
Mary Fiallo, Tampa Bay Times.
Hey, Julian, when you and Steve first saw Yanni Gourde, then back in 2014, you signed him to his contract and he plays his first full season in 2017-18. What were some of those early memories that made you all take a shot on a guy like him? And did you ever think that he'd turn into such an integral part of this championship caliber team and that third line's identity?
You never know with young players, right? You invest in them, you sign them, you bring them into your organization because you see something in them and you hope that it comes to be. And if I'm being completely honest, I would not have projected him to be the player that he is today. What we did like, though, was he was a very good skater and he was very skilled, and he had for a smaller player, he's very strong physically, and he had some compete in him. And once we brought him into the organization and I got to know the person and the competitor a little bit more and the professional that he is, then I could see why he may end up being more because of his work ethic, his passion for the game, his drive to be the best player he can be. And today, like I'm so impressed by the player that he is, and so consider myself so fortunate that he chose our organization and is one of the players on our team now, helping us win games.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN.
Hey there, hey Julian. Kind of the same lane as the Yanni Gourde question. When you drafted Brayden Point in the third round, Did you ever think that he'd develop into the kind of dominant player that he is today? And are there parts of his game that have developed that you maybe didn't anticipate would be as great as they are?
Well, the credit for drafting Brayden Point really goes to Al Murray and our amateur scouting staff. Like, they put together our draft list. They put in the time to get to know the players and compare them and invest thousands of hours in a year traveling, watching games, watching film, asking questions of coaches and teammates and the players themselves. So all the credit really goes to the amateur staff in terms of us selecting Brayden Point in the third round. Obviously, Brayden Point being the player that he is today, most of the credit goes to him. He put in the work. Why did he slip to the third round? Because his skating wasn't probably at the level that you would want it to be at that time for a player of his size. And that's why he wasn't drafted in the first round or the second round. We were fortunate enough to get him in the third round. And then, we really hit the jackpot. Again, it comes down to the character of the person that we drafted. A lot of the time, we put a lot of emphasis on the character of the players that we bring into our organization. Are they going to fit in? Are they going to be the type of competitors that are going to continually be striving to get better? Every day they come in to be better than they were yesterday in hopes of being the ultimate, player that they can become, whatever that potential is in each player. And when they come into our organization, they find that they're surrounded by like-minded players and like-minded coaches and managers and support staff. That's kind of the culture where we're always looking to get better, and we always want to get better, and we always want more. And I'm obviously very impressed by the player that he is today, the man that he is today, the competitor that he is today. His skating. It's funny to say today that his skating is why he slipped to the third round when he's arguably one of the best skaters in the world today.
Chris Johnston, Sportsnet.
Hi, Julien. Obviously you have a lot of great players in the primes of their careers, sign long term, but I'm wondering, when you look big picture at your job, how hard do you think it's going to be to keep this team at the top of the league in a flat salary cap world?
Well, I'm very much focused on getting our team ready for game one, working with the coaches and our support staff to make sure that we can eliminate distractions. We're one of two teams that can still accomplish more this year, and that's where our focus is at right now, trying to make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity that is still available to us to accomplish more with this season.
We can do two more questions in English, and then we can do some French for Julien. Dan Rosen, NHL.com.
Hi, John. I'm going to do this again to you. You get to watch Julien, but no, I really do have a question for you. So much, if you look at the stats between Carey Price and Andre Vasilevskiy, they're like eerily similar how good they've been in these playoffs. And at least publicly, so much is made of what Carey has done and what he has meant for Montreal. Yet for you guys, it's all about the team and the power play. Is there a take it for granted element here with Vasilevskiy? Not with you guys in general, is it internally, but maybe externally? Like, are we not realizing how good Vasilevskiy has been in these playoffs?
I don't know. Like, you guys have to answer that. I mean, we know how good he is, what he means to our team. But the attitude in our room, it's like a collective group. I think part of our success has been with that, trying not to rely on Vasilevskiy. And I think there's parts of years past where it was like, we need the goalie or we're in trouble. And you need, in the end, if you want to win, you need everybody. You need your power play, you need your penalty kill, you need your 5-on-5, you need your goaltending, and when that's all working together, that's what I feel is like the sign of a good team. And I think Montreal's got that going on right now. We have that going on because everybody's not on every night, and somebody's got to pick each other up. In saying that, we know what we have in our goaltender. We've watched him grow into the winner he is, the competitor he is, and you don't get to this level unless you've got great goaltending, and hence why there's both goalie statistics are the same, why both teams are still playing in large parts because the goalies have been great.
John Romano, Tampa Bay Times.
Julien, along those same lines, you were in Montreal when Carey Price was drafted. What were the expectations back then, and how has he met them over the years? What's his place in hockey history?
Well, obviously, he was a blue chip prospect, which is why he went 5th overall in the draft. And at the time, our group considered him to be a generational prospect at the goaltender position. And now, that draft was 2005. So we're 16 years later. To see that he has realized that potential, he's got a Hall of Fame career if he retires right now. That's just the reality. And I know that everyone in that organization, they watch Carey, they see his commitment to excellence, they see how hard he works in the offseason, how committed he is to being the absolute best, how it drives him, how that's what drives his life. They see how he works in practice. They see how he competes in games and then how he performs in games. And for all of those reasons, that's why I'm sure they all believe that he's the best goalie in the world. We look at Andrei Vasilevskiy and what he does for us, and for the exact same reasons, that's why we're such huge fans of Andrei Vasilevskiy, and we think we're very fortunate to have him on our team. And like Coop said, like they're at the top of their game at their respective positions.
Coach, thanks for your time. You can be excused. We can do a couple questions in French here for Julien. We'll go to Simon Olivier Lepresse.
Bonjour Julien. Bon, évidemment, les comparatifs entre le Canadien et le Lightning sont inévitables présentement. Marc Bergevin parlait aujourd'hui du parcours difficile que l'équipe a eu cette saison. Cette saison accélérée, les hauts, les bas, la COVID, tout ce qu'on veut. Le Lightning, vous avez vécu ça un peu plus sur une longue période, c'est-à-dire l'élimination en finale en 2015, l'élimination surprise contre Columbus il y a 2 ans, avant d'arriver au succès. À quel point, justement, les épreuves ont été primordiales, ou c'est sûr, vous ne les vouliez pas, mais à quel point ils ont joué un rôle dans le succès que vous connaissez aujourd'hui?
C'est sûr qu'aujourd'hui, ces expériences-là font partie de notre bagage d'expérience, justement. On peut piger dans ces expériences-là pour se préparer pour nos matchs, pour s'ajuster en cours de route à différentes situations qui risquent de survenir. Alors, c'est certain que ça nous a rendus meilleurs. Si je pourrais être honnête, j'aurais préféré gagner la Coupe en 2015 et pas voir notre équipe perdre en 4 parties en 2019 en première ronde, mais aujourd'hui, je sais que ces expériences-là nous ont rendus meilleurs.
Last question, Stéphane Leroux, RDS.
Merci beaucoup. Félicitations, Julien. Écoute, deux petites choses rapides. Des DG québécois dans la Ligue nationale, il n'y en a pas gros. Là, il y en a 2 qui s'affrontent dans la finale de la Coupe Stanley. Ça, c'est un bel accomplissement. Puis je pense que toi, tu es le mieux placé pour savoir ce que représente la participation du Canadien en finale ici au Québec, présentement à Montréal, dans le marché de hockey qu'on est. J'aimerais ça que tu me donnes tes commentaires là-dessus, puis sur le fait justement qu'on retrouve toi et Marc. Je sais que vous ne vous affrontez pas l'un contre l'autre sur la glace, mais c'est quand même vous qui avez monté ces 2 équipes-là. Là. C'est quand même un honneur qui rejaillit là, sur la profession. Puis on n'est pas beaucoup de Québécois, là, DG, il n'y en a pas beaucoup. Alors j'imagine qu'il y a une fierté là-dedans.
C'est certain. D'ailleurs, Marc a tout récemment terminé 2e là, au scrutin pour le DG de l'année, ce qui était une belle marque de reconnaissance de tous ses efforts de Marc et de tout son groupe. Là, Martin Lapointe, John Sedgwick, Trevor Timmins, Scott Mullenby, les entraîneurs, évidemment, les joueurs. Oui, ça, c'était déjà une belle marque de reconnaissance. Là, je pense nous sommes tous les 2 très chanceux de se retrouver en finale et d'avoir la chance de remporter une Coupe Stanley, ce qui est très difficile à faire. Je pense que les gens qui ne sont pas dans notre industrie, qui ne travaillent pas pour les équipes, peuvent avoir une idée d'à quel point c'est difficile de remporter la Coupe Stanley, mais sans être à l'intérieur, là, je ne suis pas sûr que tu peux vraiment prendre le pouls de l'ampleur du défi que ça représente de remporter la Coupe Stanley. Alors, félicitations à Marc pour son parcours et à tout son groupe jusqu'à présent. En ce qui a trait à ce que ça représente les succès du Canadien pour les Québécois, bien, il n'y a pas beaucoup d'organisations sportives où on écrit des chansons au sujet de l'équipe et que ça devient des hits. Puis, on est très conscients, nous, on est quand même un certain nombre de Québécois au sein de notre organisation. On sait qu'on a 8 millions d'adversaires là, qui nous attendent et qu'on va devoir vaincre si on veut remporter la Coupe Stanley.
Thank you, Julien.